Hey sim racers, Assetto Corsa EVO just dropped version 0.4 and this update is easily the biggest leap in the game so far. Since I'm running an RTX 5070, I thought of making this video to show you some performance statistics and whether this version has improved than before. I will be driving on the Nordschleife as I think it is a good benchmark track taking into account it has so much vegetation and the length of the track, so this will be a good test for performance. I will be driving in daytime, nighttime, wet condition and with 20 AI cars and check various performance stats. Let's see how hard this GPU can push EVO and whether you should expect smooth driving or speed bumps. So before I start, here is my in-game settings. I am running an ultra-wide monitor, so my resolution is a bit higher than 16:9 aspect ratio monitors. And for the settings, I have set pretty much all to ultra or high presets, except motion blur and depth of field, which I turned off. So with that settings in place, let's see how it performs. We start with the easiest scenario for most GPUs, and that will be dry conditions in daytime. The RTX 5070 holds steady here. As you can see, I am having a stable frame rate, consistent pacing and no noticeable stutters. I also think the lighting engine in EVO 0.4 looks incredible. Shadows, reflections and tree motions around this track haven't gotten in the way of performance, although I'm running all settings to ultra or high. This is exactly the kind of frame rate you want if you are into competitive driving or time attack runs. I have a 12 gigs of VRAM in this RTX 5070 and you can see I'm using around 10 gigs of VRAM. Next up, nighttime driving, and here's where things get interesting. You did expect performance to drop because of dynamic lighting and headlight effects, but the RTX 5070 actually holds up extremely well here. In fact, in some parts of the track, performance is just as good or even slightly better than daytime. That might be because there are fewer cockpit shadows and less complex lighting to render overall. The result? A surprisingly smooth driving experience with no real compromises. If you enjoy midnight Nordschleife runs, this update handles them beautifully. Alright, wet conditions. A demanding scenario in EVO 0.4. The reflections on the tarmac, the diffused lighting, particle effects and raindrops, I mean, the engine is really flexing here. There are frame drops, but not as many that can hamper the driving experience. The RTX 5070 still manages a smooth experience, but the GPU definitely has to work harder. If you race a lot in the rain, this is where you might want to tweak a couple of settings, reflections and shadows being the biggest culprits. And now the real torture test, 20 AI cars on track in dry daytime. This kind of scenario loads both CPU and GPU heavily. Physics calculation, AI behavior, crowd rendering, and the sheer number of active cars. The RTX 5070 handles this better than expected. There are few dips, but that's normal as all cars bunch together. But once the pack spreads out, frame rate stabilizes again. If you're planning large online races or AI championships, this performance is actually very promising. And here's the final comparison chart showing all 4 scenarios. Feel free to pause the videos to have a better look at it. In my opinion, the game has certainly improved a lot from the previous version, and I am getting a really stable and good frame rates. And also, worth noting that this is only 0.4 version, so we might expect some performance and frame rate improvements in the near future. So, is the RTX 5070 good for Assetto Corsa EVO in its current state? I would say absolutely. If you play at 1440p or even 4K with balanced settings, the experience is extremely smooth across all conditions. If you want me to test different tracks, wheel settings or VR performance in Assetto Corsa EVO, let me know in the comments. Till then, I will see you in the next video, guys.